Let's see how we do here. Welcome everyone to our class in Dr. Gemara. We're in the next to the last chapter, and the Dr. Gemara is explained to us the key operating words in Masa Matan, in the give and take in the Gemara. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned, recently my Chaver showed me the Shnei Luchas Habris, which has goes through the 13 Midos of the Torah's Midrash's bow and explains each one. Very, for Zocha, would be very nice to go through those two, because as we mentioned here, the advantage of the Baka Gemara over the Tfunos of the Higayon is that he spells out the unique methods of the Gemara that the Gemara uses. As the Ramchal told us, each language and each people has different terms that they use to express their ideas. And there's certain thing the Ramchal did explain is it's a technical language. It's used in one field, not in the next. So although the Ramchal, his basic aim is to show us the basic format of logic that's common to everybody, here the Dr. Gemara is concentrating on the special forms of language that are used in the Gemara, and that's what makes it a valuable addition. And as Hashem, I saw the Shloas goes into, for instance, Kal V'chomer here is dealt with very briefly, and the Shlo has 5 rules of Kal V'chomer, and it explains it very extensively. However, he does warn us that it's a tremendously large issue. But whatever it is, these are the basic tools, and we have to know what simple human logic dictates and the particular laws of the Torah, as we said, like Gezerah Shava. Gezerah Shava, because 2 words are in 2 different Pesukim, don't mean that there's a link between 2 ideas. If that was true, every ayat in the Torah would link every idea practically in the Torah everywhere. So we have to understand that Torah has its own set of rules that are Halacha Moshe Misinai, the Kodesh Baruch Hu gave to Moshe Rabbeinu. Some of them were allowed to use, and some were not allowed to use, but the definitions of them have to be explained, or else we cannot understand the Torah in its own terms. Okay, so here's how the Gemara uses its language when there's a proponent, we said, and an opponent. We said there's different levels of argument, and as Hashem will be able to show how this language is used in each type. And here he clearly states that certain languages are used by the proponent in setting out his position, and certain languages are used by the opponent to attack the proponent, and then there's certain languages that the opponent used to reinstate his original position. Okay, so let's continue here. Here's a few ones that we had. The one, I don't know if we did this one, I don't think we did, the whole Gufa Kasha. Okay, what does whole Gufa Kasha mean? Hu kishiyesh kusha b'mamar atzmo mirosha v'self o hefcho. It's when there's an internal contradiction. We said there's 2 types of contradictions we can ask, internal ones and external ones. Internal ones means that there's an internal problem in the text itself, that's all Gufa Kasha, and an external one could be from another text, Meisvei or V'haitanya. There's another text comes in contradiction to what's being said. So the internal Kasha, let's see an example of that. Also in Balakama, it says, Lema Kahani Tanai. It says, Hamotze Tivno Vakasha L'Shushurabim L'Zvolim V'Hezik Behem Acher. A person takes his zevo, things that you use to fertilize, and he puts it in the Shushurabim. Okay, he takes his tvua, and he wants the Shushurabim to walk over it and to make it into compost, that's what we call it. Very good. So then what happens was that when he put this stuff out there, someone tripped over it and hurt himself. So the din is chayv nisko. The person who put it out there has to pay the person he injured, or the animal he injured, the kol hakodem behem zocha. Not only that, anyone can come and take the straw away. The asurim mishum gezel. But then it says, if someone does take it away, it's asur under the law of stealing. So that's an internal contradiction. Okay, and that's what the Gemara, I wrote the whole Mishnah here, but the Gemara says, Hogufa kasha marta kol kodem behem zocha. First you tell me that everyone could take these the straw, and in the next line you tell me it's also mishum gezel. So there's an internal contradiction. Okay, very good. So that's a whole Hogufa kasha. Now, here's the next one called Akatsi kasha. Akatsi, it's still difficult. Okay, who kasher who kasher had terutz, I guess, shemitaretz eno maspik. It's when the solution to the difficulty, which is a stage 2 problem, is not a good solution. In other words, there was an opponent, had a position, and the proponent, and the opponent asked him a kasha, and the proponent answered the kasha, and now in this stage the opponent comes back and says, well, wait a minute, the answer you gave me is not sufficient. Okay, hu kasher teretz hamataretz eino maspik. So yomer lo, the opponent will say to the proponent, adayin akusha b'makom hamedes. The kasha still stands. Okay, now this, interesting enough, I only found in the Rishonim, this particular language. I don't know why, but I tried to search around. That's what I found. So this is the answer that will give some of these languages I found only in the Rishonim. So it could be that he's broadened the definition to all types of debate, not only specifically the Gemara. Okay, there's a Gemara in Megillah that says the following. It says, Oma Rav Yehuda Oma Shmuel. Esther Eino Metam'a Es Yadayim. Megillah Esther, say during Purim time, if you touch it, it doesn't Metam'a Yadayim. There's a whole question Sefer Torah is and why it is, because people put fines and okay, whatever. We won't get into all the details. Lamemra. So the Gemara makes a deal. So Shmuel said this statement. The Sover Shmuel Esther La Baruch Kodesh Nema. Must mean that Megillus Esther was not given Baruch Kodesh, because the Sefer Torah that was given Baruch Kodesh is Matama Yadayim. And by the fact that he says that Esther is not Matama Yadayim, must mean that the scroll itself, the scroll was not given the Baruch Kodesh. How could he say that? He himself said, V'ha'om Shmuel Esther Baruch Kodesh Nema. He made a statement that Esther, the Megillus Esther, was given Baruch HaKodesh. So it was given Baruch HaKodesh. So how come when you touch the scroll, it doesn't have the same rule as Sefer Torah? So the Gemara is Metaretz. Nemar likro v'lo nemar lichtov. Now, it was given Baruch HaKodesh to read, but there was no Baruch HaKodesh to write it. That's what it says. So since it wasn't supposed to be written, I mean, the Ruach Kodesh did not say write it, so it doesn't have the same Kedusha as Sefer Torah, and it doesn't become Yadayim. That's the simple Gemara. Tosfos has a problem with this teretz. Nemra likros v'lo lichtov. Megillah was Ruach Kodesh to write it, excuse me, to say it, but not to write it. So he says, Mashma the sober the muta likros al peh. So if that's true, that Ruach Kodesh said Megillah has Ruach Kodesh of Megillah is to say it, so then you don't need, and not to write it. So then if you just said Megillah Esther without a cloth, then you'd yotz it. That's what it seems to say, because it was only, the only Ruach Kodesh is to say it, but to write it, there's no need for it. So with this he has a kasha, Tosfos has a kasha. The Hechi Palig al Stam Mishnah. How could this text argue with the Stam Mishnah that we have later on that says the Tani Koru al Peh Lo Yotzer? Says no. If you read Megillah Esther without a klaf, then you're not Yotzer. So how could this Gemara seem to apply that you are Yotzer because it was only given to be said, which means you're Yotzer if you said it. You don't have to write it. So he gives a teretz. Lekach nira lepirish. Doho de kol malo nitna lichtov baruch hakodesh aval midirabbanan natna lichtov ulikros. He says, okay, so what it means here, I mean, in order to solve this contradiction, it's true that the Sefer Torah was only given Baruch HaKodesh to say it. Came along the Rabbanon and they said, no, you have to write it and also say it. So really it's Midah Rabbanon, even the Baruch HaKodesh. There's a whole story over there why we'll get into the details of how could they write it down, how could they say a new ad to the mitzvahs, but whatever it is, the way Tosfos and the Taretz here is that, yes, there was Ruach HaKodesh said that you should read it, and what's meant here is that literally you'd be Yotzi reading it, but came along the Rabbanon and they added a mitzvah, midrabbanon, to write it also. Okay, so Ruach HaKodesh said to read it, and the rabbis added on another mitzvah to say that you have to do with a klaf. So Tosfos says, Kasha, this is the lesson we want to get to. Wait a minute, this teretz is not sufficient. Why? Doho amrina beperek hamamuna b'maseches yoma nimshala Esther la'aylat hashachar. Esther was compared to aylat hashachar. What's the comparison? We're learning about comparisons. Ma shachar sofa laila, just like the shachar, the aylat hashachar means the end of the night. Af Esther sofa nisim. Esther is the sofa of all the miracles. I mean, there's no more miracles after the time of Megillah Esther. The Gemara asks over there, Upar, what do you mean there's no more miracles after the time of Esther? The whole miracle of Hanukkah we had in the Beis HaMikdash, 8 days and the candles, that also happened. How can you say that? So the Gemara answers, U mishane niton lichtov kamar. So what's the answer? The answer is, it's the end of holy writings, so to speak. Okay, there'll be no more holy writings after Megillah Esther. Okay, so even though there were Nixim like Hanukkah, we never had a Megillah to read. There was never a holy writing. Okay. So you see from here, okay, we'll see in a moment that it does have, the writing does have kedusha. That's the kasha from this Gemara. Uparech hanich elamanda oma nitan lichtov elamanda oma lo nitan lichtov ma ikalamema. Okay, that's good to the one that holds that Megillah was supposed to be written. What do you do with the one that holds Megillah was not supposed to be written? Okay, so here anyway, the Tosfos problem is ve'ein loma dohor the nitan lichtov mit the rabbanon korei k'siva, and he brings a kasha. So he just answered when the Kitzer, what he's saying is, my answer to you was what it means that Megillah Esther had Ruach HaKodesh in its writing, but it's really midrabbanan that in its saying. You have to really say it. You could really be yotzi al peh if you say Megillah Esther. Came along the Rabbanan and added another mitzvah that you nowadays we're telling you have to read it and also say it. It's not good enough. So he says that's his teretz to the problem, but he says that's not going to work because we have another Gemara here that clearly indicates that Megillah, the writing of the Megillah was done Baruch HaKodesh, because it says that after Megillah there was no more Nisim, and that meant no more holy writings anymore. Okay, So what he did was he had a teretz, and his teretz was Eino Maspik, because he has this other Gemara he has to handle. Okay, so that's that rule. That's what he says here, Akati Kasha. Even though you gave me a teretz and said that it was midrabanan, you're still going to have a difficulty with it with another Gemara. Okay, so you got out of one problem, but unfortunately it didn't solve the other problem, and that's called Akasi Kasha. And as I said, I couldn't find this in the Lashon of the Gemara. Now we have all these search programs. I mean, I wish I was Shas Cohen that go well Shas like that, but I'm not. So we use these search programs, and I couldn't find this Lashon in the language of the Gemara, only in the language of Rishonim, like Tosfos here. So that's what it is. Okay, let's go to the next language here. The next language is Minei Obey, or he has other alternatives here. Makom Shabbato, Adarab Ibcha Mistavra, or he in the Senes. We've learned this in Derek Tunos, where you take a raya and you turn it, you take a stira to your position, you turn it around to a raya to your position. Okay? So he says, Hu kashir hamama shemevi la'ozer lo amod kenegdo v'yomer lo mimakom Shabbato, Adarab Ibcha Mistavra, or he in the Senes. This keyword is used when the proponent brings a proof to his argument, and the opponent takes the same proof and turns it around and uses it as an attack to the proponent's position. Okay, so let's see if we can get an example of that. Oh, and he said that he says, Kol elu lashonos kavanos echad, all these languages of Minei Obey, Makom Shabbato, Adarab Ibcha Mistavra, Hiya Nosenis, they all do basically the same function. V'im yesh hevdel ma b'neim. There may be slight nuances, differences between each one, but basically that's the system, to take a proof that was brought by the proponent and turn it around against him. So let's see this example from Baba Kama. Okay. I'm just going to make it easier for us to write here. It says like this. Omer Shmuel, Ein Shaman, Ein Shamin lo Laganam, lo Lagazlam, Elan Nazik. You don't evaluate damage in the case of a thief or someone who's a highway robber. The only time you use this point of evaluation is in a Zeke. What was this thing of evaluation? We said that that when you damage someone and he damages you, for instance, you can't say, okay, you damaged my talus and I damaged yours. Let's just switch my talus for your talus. You have to go to Basin. You have to evaluate how much damage was done to A. They say it's a certain amount of money. How much damage to B? He has a certain amount of money, and then you have to take the two different prices of money and exchange them and pay the other partner. Okay, so that's called shamin. You have to go through a process of evaluation of damages, but that doesn't happen, says Shmuel, in the case of Geneva or Gazla. Vani Omer, okay. Vani Omer Afla Shoel. Vani, I know who the Gemara says, I know who the Ani is, says no, it's also in the case of Shoel. So we don't know here. Va'aba modally. I say you also need an evaluation in the case of Shoel, and Abba agrees with me. So now the Gemara doesn't understand this statement, Vani Omer Afla Shoel. Ibaylahu, ask an Ibaya, two-sided question. Hachikam, Ibaylu, Hachikam, Afla Shoel Shamim, Va'aba modally. Did he mean Vani Omer Afla Shoel? That means I say that the Shoel also has to go through an evaluation process, and Abba agrees with me. O Dilma Hachikamar, Ani Omer Afla Shoel, Ein Shamin, Va'aba Modali. Or maybe he means that I wanted to add Shoel that you're not Shamin, and Abba is motive to me. So we see in the statement there's an ambiguity because Shmuel's statement was the only one that you go through this process of shamin is in the niza, in the case of nezek, I'm sorry. And the addition here says Vani Omer Afla Shoel. Well, there's two parts here. What do you mean af l'shoel? Af l'shoel ein shomin, or af l'shoel means just like Nezikin, also shoel your shaman. Okay, so that was our ibui. So we bring a raya, tashma, dahu gavra de shoel nagra michavre. We have a man borrowed a axe from his friend, Tivra. So he's a shoel. Shoel means that he didn't pay. He just asked him to borrow his axe, and the axe Tivra, the axe broke. Asakamei de Rav, so he went to Rav and he asked him, do I have to pay for the damage or not? It should be damage that came through Shoel. Omalei Zil Shalom Le Nagra Ma'alia. Go give him back a whole axe. Shmamine ain't Shomin. So you see that there's no din of Shomin. He didn't say how much was the axe that you damaged, how much was it worth, how much was it used, in what condition, blah, blah, blah. He's just said, no, get a good axe and return it, pay axe back for an axe. So you see that the raya from here, that you don't go through the process of evaluation. So the Gemara says, Adarabba. Now I'm going to use the same text, and I'm going to bring it as a proof for just the opposite, that you are shaman. Adarabba. Because you forgot to quote the end of the text, says the Gemara. Adarabba. Nida Amrle Rav Kahana Ravasi, the end of the text. Rav Kahana and Ravasi said, L'Rav Dina Hachi. They said, Rav, is this the din? That you don't do, you don't shaman, you don't evaluate? V'shasik, and Rav was quiet, didn't answer them, Shmamine, that you do shaman. Okay, so we took the same text, which was mashma, that you're not shaman. We turned it around and we said it's mashma it is. Now, in a deeper analysis of this text, we have to understand what does being quiet mean. That was he quiet because he agreed with them? He's quiet because he didn't want to answer them, and that may be the Havamina and the Maskana. But the point here is that we took a text, we brought it, this case of the person who brought his axe, and we saw that that Rav said, you give him a new axe. So we said, hey, you see, no shaman, and we just turned it around and we said, wait a minute, there was a kasha asked on that, and Rav didn't reply. From the fact he didn't reply must mean that he agreed that he made a mistake. So that's the move of Adarabba. We take the text that we want to bring a raya, and we turn it around and we use it as a steer against you. Okay. Let's see if we can do one more. Okay. Now this one, maybe I'll tell you what, maybe we'll stop at this point. I'll just read the text here, but we have to get one inside. A lot of these, tell you the truth, I'm just having problem finding, like this one. Okay. But this one says, Kol shechein shehosafta. This language is used. Who keshabola taretz, a person, the proponent, again. There's the proponent. He's asked a kasha by the opponent. And now the proponent wants to mataretz the kasha. Ume'osa dava she'omer l'terutzo nosiv kusha o safek al mashahaya b'tchila. And now the opponent says, now that you said what you said to mataretz my kasha, now I'm going to have a new kasha that comes up that I didn't answer you at first. If you wouldn't have answered this, if you wouldn't have answered me how you answered me, I wouldn't have asked you the second kasha. But now that you answered me the way you answered me, now kol shekain, I have more evidence or more reason to disagree with you. Okay, so Bli Netta will pick this one up next week.
Okay.
Okay, Beseda.
Very good.
All right, we're moving along. How many more do we have, by the way?
Yeah, and that's end. Once we finish this, that's the end of the sefer.
Yeah, that's the end. There's just a few more of these moves, and then yeah, it's the end. Really. That's the end. That's it.
Okay.
So then what I would like to do is start a real Ian piece with you. Okay, I want to do a piece with you in Baba Kama, a real Ian piece, and we're going to try to apply what we learn consciously as we go through the piece. Okay, and then we're going to see again the beautiful nature of, again, the two levels of what's called simple logic or classical logic or human logic or logic without the Torah, and we're going to see how the Torah has its own rules and how that's going to tie in to the Masama Matan in our little Ian piece, Bezrat Hashem. Okay, so we have a Hemshech, Sipo Behemshech.
Right.
But you see, what's so difficult? What the difficulty is if you don't understand the rules of the game, and by the means of the rules of the game, I mean by having these terms spelled out for you, so then there's no way to go to this next stage.
Right.
And you just, and that's, if we, the whole, what we have to prove here is that we're going to gain a step.
Right.
Okay? That it can't be that this is just a nice intellectual study and it doesn't add to our learning. So we have to prove that the world is going to be much clearer after we understand what we're doing consciously than before we understood consciously. And I see it. I have people that I learn with who know nothing about these svarim, like most people in the world. And when they explain things, so they explain things in a fuzzy way. Now, they don't think they're saying things in a fuzzy way. But they are, because they don't have someone who has carefully made distinctions between a Kal V'chomer, Binyan Av, a Mamet Sinu, and so these words will switch and be fuzzy, So when you have these tools, all of a sudden, much more precise in your understanding. But we have to prove that that's true. If we do that, then the many hours that we've used to study the Sefer will be worthwhile.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good.
Okay,
so we'll speak next week, Mitzvah Hashem. Okay.
Bezrat Hashem.
Okay, have a good week.
Have a good week.
Okay.